A shattered illusion, the soft hum of conversation and clinking silverware filled the upscale restaurant, a symphony of wealth and privilege. Nathan adjusted his cufflinks, his reflection sharp in the floor-to-ceiling windows. Tonight was supposed to be perfect, another flawless evening with Sophia, the woman who embodied the fresh start he'd meticulously crafted after his divorce. She sat across from him, radiant in an emerald-green dress, her manicured fingers tracing the rim of her wine glass. "You're quiet tonight," she murmured, her dark eyes studying him. "Just admiring the view," he lied smoothly, forcing a smile. The truth was, his mind had been elsewhere lately, haunted by the past he'd buried. Then he saw her, Lena, his ex-wife, balancing a tray of drinks, her once sleek frame now softened by the curve of pregnancy beneath her server's apron. The sight punched the air from his lungs. Pregnant? His grip tightened around his fork. They divorced 8 months ago. Had she been seeing someone immediately after? Or his stomach lurched. No, the timeline. "Nathan." Sophia's voice snapped him back. "You're pale? Are you ill?" He barely heard her. Lena had turned, her hazel eyes locking onto his for a fleeting second before she hurried away, disappearing into the kitchen. "Who was that?" Sophia followed his gaze, her perfectly sculpted brows knitting together. "No one," he muttered, but his pulse betrayed him. The rest of the meal passed in a blur. Nathan's mind raced. Lena had refused alimony, insisting on independence. But this, working on her feet, pregnant in a place like this, guilt twisted like a knife. As they left, Sophia's hand on his arm felt like a chain. "You've been distracted all night," she said coolly. "Long day at the office," he deflected. But that night, as Sophia slept beside him, Nathan stared at the ceiling. Lena's face burned into his thoughts. The past wasn't buried. It was alive, growing inside her, and he had to face it. Nathan's polished leather shoes clicked against the pavement as he approached the modest diner where Lena had picked up a second shift. The neon sign flickered, Joe's all-nighter, a far cry from the Michelin-starred restaurants he frequented. Through the smudged window, he spotted her, refilling coffee for a trucker. Her pregnancy more pronounced under the harsh fluorescent lights. He waited until her shift ended at 2 a.m., when she pushed through the diner's back door. Exhaustion lining her face, he stepped into the dim glow of a streetlight. "Lena?" she startled, her hand flying to her chest. "Jesus, Nathan." Her voice was rough, tired. "What the hell are you doing here?" "We need to talk," she scoffed, adjusting the strap. Of her bag? About what? The weather? Your conscience? The baby? The word hung between them, heavy. Lena's jaw tightened. She turned away. "Not your business." He grabbed her wrist gently, but enough to stop her. "If it's mine, it is my business." She wrenched free. "Oh, now you care." Her laugh was bitter. "Shh. You didn't even notice I was gone until the divorce papers were in your hand." Nathan flinched. It was true. In those last months, he'd been buried in mergers and flights to Zurich, in anything that wasn't her quiet sadness. "Lena," he said, softer now, "just tell me, is it mine?" She hesitated. Then, with a slow exhale, "Yes." The confirmation hit him like a gut punch. He'd expected it, but hearing it knowing was different. "Why didn't you tell me? Would it have mattered?" Her eyes glistened under the streetlight. "You were done with me?" "I wasn't going to be another obligation you resented." Nathan opened his mouth, but no defense came, 'cause she was right. He had resented her need for his time, her tears when he canceled anniversaries, her quiet disappointment when he chose work again and again. "I want to help," he said finally. Lena shook her head. "I don't need your money. It's not about money. It's about responsibility." She cut him off. A little late for that. A car honked in the distance. Nathan ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. "Damn it, Lena. I'm trying here, and I'm trying to survive." Her voice cracked. "I'm working 2 jobs, living in a studio with mold in the vents, and I'm terrified, but I'm doing it alone, because that's what you taught me." The raw pain in her words silenced him. She wiped her cheek roughly. Go back to your perfect life, Nathan. This baby and we'll be fine. She walked away, leaving him standing in the yellow glow of the streetlight, the weight of his failures pressing down. Back at his penthouse, Sophia was waiting. Where were you? She stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, her silhouette sharp. Against the city lights, Nathan loosened his tie. Out. With her? Sophia's voice was icy, the waitress from the restaurant. His silence was answer enough. Sophia let out a disbelieving laugh. Unbelievable. You're still hung up on your ex. It's not like that, he snapped. She's pregnant. Sophia went very still. Yours. Nathan didn't deny it. For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then, quietly, get out. What? Get out. Her voice trembled with fury. I won't compete with a ghost or a baby. Nathan didn't argue. Grabbed his coat and left, the door slamming behind him. Alone in the elevator, he exhaled. It's perfect. Life was crumbling, and for the first time, he wondered if it had ever been real at all. Nathan stood outside Lena's apartment building, a paper bag of groceries in one hand and a ridiculous pink teddy bear in the other. He hadn't planned on showing up unannounced, but after 3 days of ignored calls, he was out of patience. Door swung open before he could knock. Lena stood there in an oversized sweater, her hair piled into a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted and furious. What part of I don't need your help was unclear, she snapped. Nathan held up the groceries. Shouldn't be carrying heavy things. Doctor's orders. Her eyes narrowed. You called my OB? I may have pulled some strings to check on your appointments. Lena's mouth fell open. You what? Before she could slam the door, Nathan wedged his foot in the frame. Lena, just let me do one thing right. She hesitated, then stepped aside with a frustrated sigh. 5 minutes. Her apartment was tiny, a far cry from the penthouse they'd once shared. A second-hand crib sat half-assembled in the corner, instruction manuals scattered on the floor. Nathan set the groceries on the counter. You were never good at following directions. Funny, Lena muttered, rubbing her lower back. I managed to follow yours when you said get out of my life. The jab landed hard. Nathan exhaled. I deserve that. Yeah, you do. Silence stretched between them. Then, reluctantly, Lena gestured to the crib. If you're so desperate to help, finish that. I got lightheaded trying to screw in the bolts. Nathan rolled up his sleeves. On it. As he worked, Lena watched from the couch, arms crossed. Sophia kicked you out, didn't she? Nathan didn't look up. How'd you guess? 'Cause you were here. Her voice was quiet. You only show up when you've got nowhere else to go. The truth of it stung. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. Sophia's name flashed on the screen. Lena smirked. Better answer? Wouldn't want to disappoint 2 women in one night? Nathan silenced it. Not important. But Sophia wasn't giving up. A second later, his phone lit up. Again this time with a news alert. Carter texts coup Sophia Reyes spotted with rival CEO at charity Galeromance Brewing. Nathan's stomach dropped. Lena raised an eyebrow. Ouch. She works fast. He tossed his phone aside. Doesn't matter, liar. Nathan tightened a bolt harder than necessary. She made her choice. And what's your choice, Nathan? Lena's voice was softer now. You can't half-fast this. If you're in, you're in. No disappearing when it gets hard. He met her gaze. I'm not going anywhere. Lena studied him, searching for the lie. Then finally she nodded. Meanwhile, across town, Sophia sipped champagne beside Daniel Crossnathan's biggest competitor, her smile razor-sharp. To new beginnings, Daniel toasted, his fingers brushing hers. Sophia clinked his glass, her eyes glinting. Into men who actually show up. The cameras loved it. Later that night, Nathan woke to Lena's gasp. He bolted upright from her couch. What's wrong? Lena clutched her stomach, her face pale. I think something's wrong. Nathan was already grabbing his keys. Hospital now. As he sped through the streets, Lena's hand gripped his, tight, terrified. And for the first time in years, Nathan prayed. The hospital doors slid open with a mechanical hiss as Nathan half-carried Lena through the emergency entrance. Her fingernails dug into his forearm, her breath coming in short, panicked bursts. 28 weeks. Too early, she choked out between contractions. A nurse took one look at them and sprang into action. Prep or 2, stat. Ash! Nathan tried to follow as they wheeled Lena away, but a firm hand stopped him. "Father?" the nurse asked. The word hit him like a live wire. "Yes, wait here. The doctor will update you." The doors swung shut, leaving Nathan alone in the sterile hallway. He sank into a plastic chair, his dress shirt sticking to his back with sweat. His phone buzzed another notification about Sophia and Daniel's very public date, but he silenced it without looking. This is my fault. The thought clawed at him. If he hadn't stressed Lena out by barging into her life again, if he'd just left her alone like she wanted, a doctor in blue scrubs pushed through the doors. "Mr. Carter, your wife has severe preeclampsia. We need to deliver immediately." The outdated term went uncorrected. Nathan's throat went dry. "Will they at 28 weeks? There are risks." The doctor's voice softened. "But we have an excellent NICU team. Sign these consent forms." The next hour passed in a blur of paperwork and pacing. When they finally let him into the OR, Lena looked terrifyingly small on the operating table, her face ashen behind an oxygen mask. Her hand shot out the second she saw him, gripping his with surprising strength. If something happens, nothing's going to happen," Nathan lied smoothly, the way he used to reassure investors during market crashes. But when their daughter came into the world silent and blue, weighing barely 3 pounds, his facade shattered. "Come on, little fighter," a NICU nurse murmured, rubbing the tiny chest with expert fingers. A weak cry finally pierced the air. Nathan's knees nearly buckled. Lena was crying silently, her gaze locked on their daughter as the team whisked her to an incubator. "I need to see her." "You will," the anesthesiologist promised. "But first we need to now." Lena's voice cracked with primal ferocity. The medical team exchanged glances. Then, miraculously, he adjusted the gurney and let her reach through the incubator portholes to brush one fingertip against their daughter's miniature hand. The baby's fingers curled, around Lena's in a reflex grip. Something fundamental shifted. In Nathan's chest, recovery room, 3 a.m., Lena slept fitfully, drugged into much-needed rest. Nathan sat vigil beside the NICU isolette, watching the rise and fall of his daughter's bird-like chest through the plastic. "You're supposed to tap the glass?" Nathan turned to find Sophia in the doorway, her designer dress swapped for hospital scrubs, a visitor badge clipped to her collar. "How did you CEO privileges?" She stepped closer, her usual polish replaced by something almost vulnerable. "I came as soon as I saw the news alert." Nathan blinked. "There's a news alert about this?" "Not yet." Sophia nodded at the baby. "She's beautiful." A monitor beeped. The tiny chest kept rising, falling, rising, falling. Sophia exhaled sharply. "I was wrong." Nathan waited. "You can show up." She gestured to the incubator, "Just not for me." He opened his mouth to apologize, to explain, but Sophia shook her head. "Don't, just ... Be better for them than you were for us." She turned to leave, then paused. "The board meeting tomorrow. Daniel's making his move for your shares." Nathan didn't even glance at his phone. Let him. Sophia's smile was bittersweet. "Guess you really are a father now." Dawn broke pale through the NICU windows. Lena woke to find Nathan still at their daughter's side, his tie discarded, his expensive shoes covered in hospital sanitizer. "You stayed," she rasped. Nathan didn't. "Look away from the tiny form in the incubator. I told you. I'm not going anywhere." For the first time in years, Lena believed him. 6 months later, the sound of baby giggles filled Nathan's penthouse as he blew raspberries against his daughter's tiny stomach. Emma, named after Lena's late mother, kicked her chubby legs, her dark curls bouncing with each squeal. "When's spoiled?" Lena teased from the doorway, balancing 2 coffee cups. Nathan grinned, adjusting Emma on his lap. "Can you blame me? Look at this face." Lena rolled her eyes, but smiled as she handed him his coffee black. No sugar, just how he'd always taken it. Some things never changed. A comfortable silence settled between them as Emma dozed off in Nathan's arms. Outside, the city glittered beneath the twilight sky. You know, Lena said softly, I never thought we'd end up here. Nathan traced Emma's tiny fingers. Me neither. After Emma's premature birth, everything had shifted. Nathan had stepped back from Carter Tech, letting Daniel take the reins while he focused on what truly mattered, his daughter. And slowly, Lena, they weren't together, not officially at least. But they were something far more important. A family. Lena sighed, leaning against the couch. I got the job offer, the one in Seattle. Nathan's chest tightened. He'd known. This was coming, the prestigious neonatal nursing position Lena had dreamed of for years. But hearing it out loud made it real. You should take it, he said, forcing a smile. Lena studied him, just like that. Of course, he met her gaze. You've given up enough for me? Lena's eyes glistened. She reached out, her fingers brushing his. I was thinking, maybe we all go. Nathan stilled. What? I talked to them. They'd hold the position for 3 more months. Give us time to figure things out. She bit her lip. If you want to. Stirred in his arms, her tiny fist curling around his thumb, Nathan exhaled, his heart full. Yeah, he whispered. I want to. Epilogue. 1 year later, the Pacific wind carried the scent of salt and pine as Nathan carried Emma toward the shoreline. Lena walked beside him, her hand finding his as their bare feet met the wet sand. Emma shrieked with delight as the waves lapped at her toes. Think she's a beach baby? Lena laughed. Nathan pulled them both closer. Definitely they weren't perfect. They still argued over bedtime routines and whose turn it was to do midnight feedings. But for the first time in years, Nathan was exactly where he was meant to be. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and violet, Lena rested her head against his shoulder. Thank you, she murmured. Nathan kissed her temple. For what? For showing up. And just like that, with the ocean at their feet and their daughter's laughter in the air, the past finally felt exactly where it belonged. Behind them,